probably in the top 10 most powerful Marvel characters. And Beta Ray Bill is taking every punch, blow for blow. These two are just going at it. And then the unthinkable happens. And Thor Friends, welcome to Drawing Conversation. My name is Danny Fisher, and I have the pleasure of being your dedicated nerd, host, and artist. And today, we're drawing the origin and history of the mighty Beta Ray Bill. Let's get drawing. Now, friends, before we jump in, as always, I want to thank you for your time. Thank you so much for coming back and watching these episodes. It truly helps. And hey, if you haven't already subscribed, please consider this your personal invitation. Hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, and as always, leave a comment below. Let me know how I'm doing and what characters you want to see drawn. Now, today we are talking about the mighty Beta Ray Bill. And Beta Ray Bill had his first appearance in November 1983 in the pages of The Mighty Thor number 337. Now, Beta Ray Bill was the creation of Walt Simonson, and in my opinion, Walt Simonson did something to the Thor series that was absolutely legendary. He left his mark from original characters, amazing artwork, and kind of a feel that Thor was actually mortal, that Thor could be brought to his knees. And so it gave you that fear, that suspense in the series that, oh man, Thor could actually lose. And that is why I love Beta Ray Bill so much. Because, guys, if you're a Thor fan, if you're a true Thor fan, then you gotta love Beta Ray Bill. Because Beta Ray Bill was, in fact, the very first person to ever lift Mjolnir. That's right. Beta Ray Bill was the first person to be found worthy to lift and bear the powers of Thor. But we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. Let me back up. Because to talk about Beta Ray Bill, you have got to know where he's from. And Beta Ray Bill is a Corbinite. And what you have to know is that Corbinites are an ancient race in the Marvel Universe. And as the stories explain to us, we learn that their galaxy is slowly heating up. It's just getting hotter and hotter, and they cannot continue to live in this galaxy. And so what they decide to do is they decide that they have to leave their galaxy. It is no longer sustainable and suitable for life, and they have to go. They decide they're going to put their entire race into suspended animation and look for a new home. Well, they can't just leave and be unprotected. So what they decide to do is they decide to take the most ferocious, the most predatorial creature in their known galaxy, and then they genetically modified it and added cybernetics and created this perfect, what they thought was a defending machine, a protector, if you will, that would watch over their species while they were in suspended animation, traveling, looking for a new home. And that protector was called the Alpha Ray. And it turned out that the Alpha Ray was kind of buggy, and it really didn't have much of a conscience and lacked a heart and soul. And so what they decided to do was go ahead and decommission that, kind of power it down and put it in, the deep, darkest recesses of unspeakable truths. And they decide to try again. But this time was going to be different. What they were going to do is they were going to run a test. And this test was not only a physical test, but a mental test. And many Corbinites went into shock and or died in the process of this test. And finally, one person shows the aptitude that could handle all of these rigorous and excruciating tests. And they take that person's essence. And yes, his name just happens to be Bill. And they take Bill's essence and they put it into this cybernetic, genetically enhanced body. And then we have finally made the Beta Ray Bill. And Beta Ray Bill's job is to stand guard over this fleet of ships as they travel. But to make sure that Beta Ray Bill doesn't go completely insane, they decide to build him a living, sentient ship. That's right. Think of Moya from Farscape. Except this ship, which is dubbed the Scuttlebutt. I'm sorry, it's not a better name. It's just known as the Scuttlebutt. But The scuttlebutt is not only sentient, but is bristling with firepower and is an enormous ship. And of course, it is designed to be not only an extremely powerful defense vessel, but also to keep Beta Ray Bill company, because he's all by himself while everyone else is sleeping. And with that, they take off and leave their galaxy in search of a new home. But unfortunately, the scuttlebutt just happens to come a little too close to the Milky Way galaxy, and it's picked up by S.H.I.E.L.D's long-range scanners. And it's Nick Fury himself that goes to Thor and says, Thor, you know what? There's this huge warship that we're thinking, kind of an anomaly out there in space. Would you mind, doing your Thor thing, flying up there and checking it out? And of course, Thor being Thor, hey, no problem. Let me put my big pants on, let's go take care of this, right? So he takes off into space. And as he's approaching the scuttlebutt immediately senses the power emanating from Thor and opens fire, right? Tries to take him out. Well, he is obviously unsuccessful, and Thor tears into the ship, trying to figure out what's going on, and the ship's empty. And out of nowhere, Beta Ray Bill gets the jump on Thor. And these two are battling back and forth, and it is amazing because you have to get your head around the power of Beta Ray Bill. I mean, Thor is an Asgardian. And yes, in mythology, he's considered a god, but really he's just an Asgardian, which is essentially just a long-lived alien. But he's still, within the top 100 most powerful, probably in the top 10 most powerful Marvel characters. And Beta Ray Bill is taking every punch, blow for blow. These two are just going at it. And then the unthinkable happens. The unthinkable happens, and Thor is separated from his hammer. And that's something you have to understand. The 1983 Thor, well, if he was separated from his hammer for longer than 60 seconds, he would revert back into his human form, Donald Blake. And hey, if you want to know more about Thor's powers and origins, check out the descriptions. I'm going to put a link down there. I want to give you a full background of Thor, but Thor is separated from his hammer and is transformed back into Donald Blake, where obviously he's knocked unconscious. Now, Beta Ray Bill doesn't know what's going on. Can't understand what just happened. He was in a fist fight with what he thought was a demon, and then this transforms into this puny little spongy creature. So he's not understanding what's going on, but he does notice that the hammer is gone and it's replaced with a stick. And he picks up that stick, and when he accidentally smashes it against the hull of the scuttlebutt, he is transformed into the mighty Beta Ray Bill. He suddenly possesses all the powers of this genetic cyborg, weird, ferocious beast creature, but also has all the powers of Thor and gets his own amazingly cool costume. Walt Simonson did just a killer job of designing kind of a Thor 2.0, if you will. He just looked amazing and far more futuristic than kind of the old, kind of Viking-looking Thor. But at any rate, he can't believe the power that is surging through him. He's feeling, but then suddenly, Odin calls for Thor. And he's so used to just pretty much calling Mjolnir, and Thor comes in tow, that when he calls Mjolnir, it's Beta Ray Bill that's tagging along. Now, Odin is wondering what's going on. Where is Thor? Just like I'm wondering why you haven't hit that subscribe button. But anyway, and Beta Ray Bill, he tries to take a shot at Odin, and Odin's not feeling that for a second. He instantly puts Beta Ray Bill in a little bubble and then summons Thor. And we come to find out that the enchantment, the very enchantment that is placed on Mjolnir, which is obviously very famous, he who lifts his hammer, if they be worthy, shall possess the powers of Thor. Now, what that tells you immediately is that Beta Ray Bill's purpose, his intent, and his heart are pure. His mission is noble, and he acts with truth. Now, Odin's in a little bit of a predicament here, because on one side you have, his son, and the weapon he crafted specifically for Thor. And on the other side you have this creature who explains himself to Odin and his entire history, and feels that he has won this hammer in combat, and it is rightfully his, and he will use this to defend his people and find a new home. Well, Odin, in his infinite wisdom, decides the only way to settle this is with an old-fashioned battle to the death. Winner take all, he who comes out living gets the hammer. So he takes both Thor and Beta Ray Bill to a fiery realm known as Skartheim. And this battle is just epic because, guys, I'm telling you, there are lava rivers, volcanoes, they are destroying mountains. It is just that epic battle. And again, I love Walt Simonson's art. It is so good, it is so visceral, it has such jagged lines, it has so much energy with every action scene. I mean, sorry, nerding out there a little bit. It is just a pleasure to read, and his art just pulls you right through. Now this battle rages on, and in fact, they both kind of knock each other out kind of at the same time. It's really one of those cool, like, Superman versus Doomsday punches where they both kind of get knocked out, but it's Beta Ray Bill who wakes up first. Now you have to know that Corbinites, remember their galaxy was heating up? Well, that happened over a long period of time, so Corbinites have an affinity towards the heat. And well, Asgardians, being kind of Norrish and Viking, they kind of like the cold. So it's Beta Ray Bill that wakes up first. And he wakes up on this huge rock that's floating down this river of pure molten lava. And it's about to go over this falls into a gigantic lava chasm. Well, instead of Beta Ray Bill running, he does something honorable. And he lifts Thor and jumps off this rock and carries both of them to safety. Well, Odin, seeing this and being thoroughly impressed, decides that Beta Ray Bill truly is worthy. But he can't just give away Mjolnir. So what he does is he commissions the dwarves to create a new hammer. A hammer that would be on par and the absolute equal to Mjolnir. And what they forge is the hammer known as Stormbreaker. Yes, you heard me right. Stormbreaker was originally made for Beta Ray Bill. You gotta take the Hollywood Marvel movies with a grain of salt. And what I love about Stormbreaker is that it's not only a hammer on one side, but on the other side, it's a blade. I always love that about Beta Ray Bills. It's so much more visceral. It's like, yeah, I could pound you into next week, or I could just lop your head clean off your shoulders. It's that cool. Granted, he never did that. Come on, I'm just saying. But I loved the look of Beta Ray Bill. Again, it's almost like a Thor 2.0, kind of a space Thor, if you will. He's a little bit shinier. He's got more armor. He just looks a little glossier. I mean, even the hammer has that sleek shine to it. And it's at this point that Thor decides, you know what? We have got to be Hammer Brothers. Before Mario ever did it, these guys make an oath that whenever one needed the other, they would be there. And let me tell you, Beta Ray Bill has been a part of so many teams, from Omega Flight to Star Masters to Asgard, Thor Corps, the Annihilators, the Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, it's essentially Space Thor. And Beta Ray Bill has been a part of so many television, video games, films. He's just that amazingly cool character that when he shows up, you know there is going to be non-stop action. All of these reasons combined is what has made this character such a fan favorite, and why I love me some Beta Ray Bill. Friends, as always, thank you so much for watching. Your support truly helps this channel. And hey, if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe, turn on notifications, leave a comment below, and I will talk to you again soon.